Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Tina, also known as Little T. And today on the channel we are going to make a recipe from a cookbook that I bought back in the fall sometime about how to make your own staples. And I'll show it here on the screen. It's Vegan Pantry by Miyoko Schinner. And you may have seen some products of hers actually in the store that are non-dairy. And we usually buy this brand of non-dairy spread, and I've noticed really lately that it's gotten so expensive in the store. We don't use it that often, but sometimes you just like to have that buttery taste. And so instead of buying another one of these this time, I'm going to use that cookbook that I bought, and it has a recipe called Glorious Butterless Butter. This recipe just calls for some simple ingredients. Most of them you probably have on hand. Let's look at them one by one. The first one is some refined coconut oil. Then it calls for some kind of plant milk. I'm using unsweetened soy milk. And you can use light olive oil or some other oil like canola. And then some salt. We have Himalayan pink salt here. And then one ingredient you probably don't have on hand. I had never bought it before. It's liquid lecithin. And the one I was able to find on Amazon is sunflower lecithin. I think I'm saying that right. So let's use these ingredients to make ourselves some glorious butterless butter. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups of melted refined coconut oil. So I'm going to, right now it's chilly in the house, we're not keeping our temperature on very high and it's solidified. So I'm going to put it in this glass measuring cup and then microwave it until it is melted. So I'm gonna dig this out of here and we'll come back once I've got it melted and measured into the cup. Refined coconut oil is the main ingredient in this recipe. There's 1.5 cups of melted oil in this glorious butterless butter. And I just wanted to say that this isn't something that I would eat a lot of because it is a saturated fat. If you look on the back and see where it lists total fat, it has 14 grams of total fat, and out of those 12 grams are saturated. And one way to tell if a fat is saturated is that when it's at room temperature, it's solid, like this is. Like you might see if a steak is sitting out, the fat around the edge is not liquidy, it's firm. You can see the marbling in the steak, and that is saturated fat. Whereas you have a vegetable oil like olive oil, at room temperature, it's gonna be liquid. So this was something I would eat sparingly. I'm not gonna go and eat a hunk of butterless butter or any kind of butter because it's not a health food, but it is going to make this recipe taste delicious. This is mostly melted. It's 1.5 cups of refined coconut oil that's been turned into liquid in the microwave. And the recipe also calls for 1/4 cup of some other kind of oil, such as canola or light olive oil. So I'm gonna use this olive oil, and since we're already measured to 1.5 cups here, I'm just going to go up to 1 3/4 since the recipe calls for 1/4 cup. Now we have our oil all together. I've measured out the 1/2 cup of soy milk, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. I've already ground it. The last thing we'll do is put in the sunflower lecithin. Everything just goes into your blender. So here we go with the coconut oil and olive oil. We have our soy milk, the 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of this. Now when you look at this with me, it looks just like molasses. And 2 teaspoons of it. When I open the lid, it's very ooey gooey. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to measure 2 teaspoons accurately because it's going to be underneath the spoon and on the spoon, and then it's going to got the whole teaspoon in there. It's still stuck on the spoon. So here's our second one. You see I've got messy utensils and a messy finger. Yikes. Now our blender is full of all the ingredients in the recipe. It's just amazing when you think about that. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients for this. If we look at this product, which I've bought and used for many, many years, it has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 ingredients. I'm going to process this in the blender for a minute on medium speed as the recipe calls for, and then we'll look and see what it looks like once we're done. Our glorious butterless butter is all mixed up, and the author recommends if you have a silicone container, which we don't, but I am going to use this empty container, and I have a glass container here too, and she recommends lining it with wax paper so that it will come out of the container easily. Almost to the top, and we're going to trick the big bee and put this into this container. It's been washed. It's not going to fill it up, but well, I may be telling a story. It is almost to the top. And the color, you may be able to see it does have a slight yellow cast to it. It's just a little darker than what you buy in the store. She says in the recipe that it will last for 3 to 4 weeks in the refrigerator and many months in the freezer. So I'm going to put this one in the refrigerator, and this is the one we'll use right now. This one, you can also put it in the freezer to begin with, and she says that will expedite the cooling process. But I'm going to put this one in the freezer because I know we probably won't go through this that fast. But if we do, we have it in the freezer as a backup. So hopefully when it's all chilled down, it will look like this. We can serve it on a biscuit. So this is the cookbook, and when we get this butter all chilled, we'll show us eating it on some toast or maybe some homemade biscuits. We'll see. Watching. I hope you enjoyed cooking along with me as we made this glorious butterless butter from Miyoko Schinner's cookbook, The Homemade Vegan Pantry. And if you like this recipe and want to try some more pantry staples, consider buying her cookbook. I've enjoyed reading through the entire thing, and I've picked out some that I'm going to try next. So be on the lookout for more recipes coming up. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.